Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to get to know NextEarth Solutions. So we do have some slides. We do have a presentation. I'll try not to bore you with all the slides and just mundane information. I'll try to get to the key use cases for our technology and give you an idea of what we do and how we came about it. So that being said, I'll go ahead and get started. So NextEarth Solutions is an AI ML company that specializes in human language technologies. Our software was created for the intelligence community and DoD initially. It does have a lot of use cases outside of those areas of government and civilian as well. But it was mainly to process intelligence coming from foreign language sources. So any program or company that has processes that require translation, interpretation of documents and audio, or transcription could be a good target for our HLT. Our core functions are automatic speech recognition, machine translation, speaker identification, optical character recognition. So the speaker identification is really cool. It's one of my favorites. I can give a sample of somebody's voice, and then once it gets recognizes that voice, we could pinpoint where a person has spoken within a 10-hour call. So traditionally, you have some poor linguist sitting there with the headphone, listening for hours and hours and hours, trying to find that voice, and fatigue could kick in. So our current interface is something that resembles something you used to find on your iPhone. So I'll go ahead and show you our interface here. It can easily be used by linguists or non-language enabled personnel, warfighters, analysts, agents, officers, what have you. Additionally, we can make any workflow or interface from the ground up through each of our APIs, the OCR, the optical character recognition, speaker identification, machine translation, and automatic speech recognition. The algorithm can be shrunk to operate on mobile devices, provide real-time translation and interpretation between individuals face-to-face. The software also lets you accurately translate documents and media for further analysis through keyword searches and to triage intelligence and data and prioritize actions. One of the things we focused on was accuracy. We're reaching a blue score, which is blue is what they measure the accuracy of translation from one language to another. We're getting a 54, which is on par with Google Translate. That being said, Google Translate can't be air-gapped. It can't be put on a Docker right now. So we can do that. We have those capabilities. We treat each dialect and accent as its own language. And we could spin up any new language or dialect within 8 to 12 weeks. So I'll go ahead and just show you some of the features here. So we have the speaker ID here. And I wasn't ready for the demo here, but I'll show you what the output looks like. So if I feed it, a person's voice, and it gets recognizes it. I have bad guy 1 here, and we found 4 instances of this person speaking. What it does, it identifies the segment of where they spoke, the transcription in the target language, and the translation into the language that the user wants it to have. So you get a lot of information in a short amount of time. It uses the speaker ID, it uses the automatic speech recognition and the machine translation all simultaneously. This current interface that we've created it was meant to work together as for a particular workflow for a major language shop within the IC. We have the automatic speech recognition here as well. And I did some speech to text here. And you could see the files here. If you look at the files, actually, let me go back. Yeah, so the transcription here, here's what the transcribed file in English was for this English file. And here's a translation into Arabic. You could download that file and then extract it and connect to a different API to your email and then send it on to for further analysis. And then let me look at the other project. We did the same thing, which was Arabic. So again, here's a transcription here in Arabic. And then the translation is here in English. And again, you could download that and export that. Those are not the only languages we have. Well, we have different dialects of Arabic. So we have MSA, Iraqi, and Yemeni. As you know, some of you may know, actually, if you use Google Translate or Siri on processing intelligence, it's not going to understand Iraqi or Yemeni. People don't actually speak MSA. It's a proper form of Arabic. So we find these niche dialects and create language models for it. We have a proprietary method and tools to creating language models. We have an army of linguists to help us transcribe media, and then we can translate and have an accurate language model. It really is a tedious process creating these language models, and it's probably not fruitful for these big box companies to create, Yemeni or Amharic or whatever these languages are that are, further regions, where we are militarily. We do have Ukrainian and Chinese and Russian, which I've highlighted. So those are the type of languages that, we can get high level of accuracy and create separate, dialect models within those language models to, have that most accurate translation of intelligence. My partner here, she's a, career, linguist and targeting advisor, and she's going to kind of chime in and explain the use cases she's had and how it would have helped her during her tenure.
Hey guys, my name is Darho Shpoon, and I'm the Next Art Solution linguist consultant / targeter consultant. I've had about 15 years experience working within the Intel community. And as my partner Solomon was saying, that sometimes you have these poor linguists, listening to 10 hours of audio. Well, I'm your poor linguist. I'm a native Pashto speaker, and I've been dragged from office to office, from country to country, because people are short on linguists, on actual native linguists. But there were some areas where I thought that maybe a language translation software could help. Once I left the IC, we decided to architect and curate something that would help linguists or non-linguists, in addition to like sprinkling some targeting tools in there. By targeting, I mean if you're looking for a specific data set within like petabytes of data, and you want it to be automated so that language content data can be triaged and filtered down into something that you can reasonably give your linguist to look at. Instead of sending 10 hours of audio, maybe you only send 1 hour of audio because it's been filtered down. Like, for example, my partner showed you that we have a speaker ID function. So a great use case, and I used to work at the biggest language contract within the IC, is that they would give us, let's say, 10 hours of audio, and they would say, here's 10 hours of audio, but no, don't translate it. Just listen to it and tell me, just triage it. Tell me if there's like imminent danger, if there's counterterrorism subjects in there. And if it is, then only translate the audio that includes that. Well, by the end of the week, I hadn't gone through all of it. And sometimes I hadn't even written a word of translation, which means that there was no intel being written at all. So with our speaker ID function, it goes in and it tells you, hey, Bin Laden or Baghdadi spoke in these specific sections. And do you want us to translate it? And actually it translates it and transcribes it at the same time. So I know that we advertise our tool as a language translation software, but it also is definitely a targeting tool, as well as it triages which data that you want to send to your linguist to, kind of finish up or even QA. So the speaker ID was one function that I was really excited about, because it's fatiguing listening to that many hours of data and not doing any translation work. The other thing that we have, which is very exciting, is a keywords alert. So for example, there were times when I was told to either read or listen to media and only translate those areas that had to do with, let's say, like, SIM cards or IMSIs or IMEIs. I would waste a lot of time, kind of it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. So what my partner is bringing up right now is the keywords alert list function that we've created. So essentially, you go in and you can create a list of words that you want to ping against all media that has been uploaded into our software. And it will happen passively, so you don't have to press enter. Once that category or that list is created, you'll get notifications saying, hey, the media that you just uploaded has these words. It has IMSI, it has IMEI, and it has SIM in there. And so every morning, you don't have to manually go in and search and listen all over again for those certain words. It just comes up automatically. It really triages all the data for you. It really saved hours and hours of time as a targeter within the IC for doing something like this. And I think even as even a non-linguist would find a use case for this, and particularly for non-linguists, because they can run our any kind of media from the field that they retrieve into our software and say, okay, let's prioritize. We're gonna, put this audio in. Oh, here, this guy, bad guy, is not speaking. You know what? Don't even have your linguist listen to that. Or here, this guy is speaking, and I can see a translation of it, and it looks like, oh, they're talking about, some sort of education. We don't need to have our actual linguist listen to this. So I'm very excited about our tool. It's not just a translation software, but like I said, it's a targeting software. We went down to an event in Florida for the SOCOM Tech Experimentation, and we met so many people there that knew exactly why this tool was created. We definitely had a lot of interest and people reaching out to us. They understand the importance of having an automated translation software that can be air gapped. So meaning that you could take it inside the office with you, where I never had a chance to do that. Before I couldn't Google words or anything like that. And at the same time, it can triage it for targeting purposes. So that's those are my use cases.
Yes. So, for example, the keyword spotting here, it found two instances of the words we found, which was professional and professor. So here's, you see the word professor, and it shows you with where in what context the word was found. And context is very important. So if you just find an isolated word, it's not going to help. But one thing you can also do is highlight certain words here, and extract. You can extract any of this speech, the words, the whole phrase, the whole sentence. And what I can also do, I don't know if you guys can hear it on your end, I can manipulate what's being said here. So instead of "Hi there, my name is David Lee," it's going to say, Hi there, my name is David Alberta. I don't know if you can hear it.
Hi
on
there,
your end.
My name is David Lee, Alberta.
So eventually you're extracting words and phrases from a person's vernacular, and then eventually you essentially get vocabulary for a person. You can send those words off to somebody, and then you can imagine what an audio engineer could do. That you get into the realm of deepfake and speech manipulation. So there's use cases for that as well, and that makes things very interesting. So yeah, that's there's another thing we could do, which is called data extraction too. So if you're looking for a word, we have a keyboard. So if you're not language enabled, if you don't speak Arabic or you don't speak Chinese, you can look up a word in a different language. So for example, if I go to Iraq MSA here, so what I'll do here is I'll look for a word, and let's see, I'm looking for the word foreign, and it's going to translate it. There you go. So if you don't speak the language, and this says foreign in Arabic, you can go ahead and import that word and then do a search for it. So there's one instance of that word in a different language. That's very incredible. So you don't have to sit around and wait for, during COVID, it was 1 week on, 1 week off for certain IC folks that are linguists. You could kind of triage it yourself. You're not going to go ahead and take action on it, but at least you could say, hey, these files are of importance and these are probably not. So you can push them up the queue. So these are the type of tools that we try to create, so you could use them together instead of using a toggle and moving them back and forth. There's a question here that says, can you speed up audio? Can you listen to sped up audio? Yes, you can listen to sped up audio. Our system would have to be trained on sped up audio, which I think we could speed it up ourselves and retrain it that way. So yeah, there's no problem for it to listen to sped up audio. and those 10 hours to be transcribed. It depends, the computer and the network. If you're going through a cloud, the cloud option with us, then it depends on your connection. But if you're just going to be locally installed on a closed network or air gapped, it mainly depends on your local network and if your computer has a graphics card. But it can work pretty fast. It works pretty fast on normal computers. But if you have graphic cards in there, it works pretty fast. A hell lot faster than waiting for somebody just to listen to it by ear. But it's really robust, and deployment options are there's no limitations. It depends on what the requirements are. And of course, we have our OCR here, and the main differentiator here is it can transcribe and translate at the same time. And then you have a machine translation here, and you have a microphone here you could use as well. So you could, and then when you have the microphone, you could use our dictionary here as well, and you could type in a foreign language. So you could use different keyboards as well. If I have Arabic here, for example, it shows Arabic keyboard here, and this shows all the different languages that we have. You could just start typing in that. And again, I can't stress enough that we can create a language model for accents. So if somebody's speaking in a heavy French accent, all these other translation tools or the ASR will not pick up the English because it's in the heavy accent. So for example, we have Hinglish. We have English spoken with an Indian accent. So this is one of the things that we focus on, that you create very specific language models and you integrate them all together. And then, we just create a new feature, language identification. So it'll identify if it's Yemeni or Iraqi and who's speaking to who, and transcribe it accordingly. So you're not getting these false reads of what's being translated and transcribed. So it's a really nice complete package. And as I mentioned, these features here, this is one interface we created. They have their own APIs, so they can work with whatever tools you guys need to work on for client needs and interact with other software. You don't have to have this interface that we have here. Although this is nice and clean and easy to use, we understand that not everyone's going to have the same need for it. This is other use cases for this are decreasing human linguist hours for triaging data collected from unmanned air systems, decreasing human linguist hours by triaging all data from sensitive site exploitation. You could separate target voice from a pool of audio with our speaker ID. For Navy use cases, I know you guys have a cryptologic technicians, interpretive folks there. This could help them out tremendously, and it's not going to replace their jobs, but it's going to help them do a lot more work and process more intelligence instead of doing a lot of the tedious, monotonous stuff that they have to do manually. Transcribing, translating, interpreting foreign language materials, reporting highly technical information of strategic and tactical importance, providing cultural and regional guidance in support of Navy, joint force or multinational needs. This could come in and help those folks a lot. And what it can do is, help, you want to have all this reliance on Defense Language Institute having the right folks for the specific dialect that you guys are looking at. So, it's just a really nice tool to have. And, there's tremendous use case, not just for Navy, but, all around for the military.
Fantastic. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to present. I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in. If there's any last remarks you guys want to make before we end this session, go ahead.
So last comments, anyone that wants a demo, just please reach out. I can send out, I don't know if I send it through you, Cole, but we do have a quad chart that can be shared with the mission partners to kind of give a rundown, a quick approach on what we have. We have a presentation here. We have a one-pager, as I showed you earlier. We can provide all this collateral and, provide demos on demand, as needed.
Yeah, I believe Trayvon will be providing the attendee list, and the attendees will also get your guys' contact info, I believe. So that should be a way to incorporate those. But thank you both for taking the time. It was a great presentation. And thank you again for everyone in the audience for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. It was
thank
a pleasure.
You guys.
Appreciate it.